Hello, hello, hello. Okay, the sound's working. Just like to do that to make sure the sound is working here. Okay, I'm gonna do this really quick. All right, there we go. Now, today, welcome to my live stream. I did another live stream yesterday. It was on doing things compulsively, where I gave my reflection on the transit of the lunar nodes through Taurus and Scorpio. The south node's been moving through Scorpio, the north node's been moving through Taurus, and that whole transit's been about breaking compulsive patterns, any manipulation, any looking for external validation and not, finding it inside of yourself with self-worth, being true to your values, peace, inner security, being present, and establishing that stability in your life. So with the South Node in Scorpio, we can fall into those compulsive tendencies to want to do something with full intensity, get it done, and destruct things to change them. And we're not willing to wait. We have the desire. We're push ourselves to the limit. Because Scorpio is all in, all or nothing energy, and the North Node in Taurus is about taking the time to slow down, take the steps needed to get grounded and approach it in a way that you're not rushing to get it done, but in a really peaceful way of approaching whatever you're doing internally peaceful way of approaching something. So that's that transit that we're moving through. And so I sort of describe my personal experiences of how that's been showing up in my life and the things that I've done impulsively, and the lessons that I've learned about taking things slow and steady. After all, slow and steady, but it's a race. It's a marathon, not a sprint, after all. And so yeah, and that was a long live stream because I had a lot to say, and a lot was I was marinating on a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was brewing in my mind, and it mattered to me to talk about, and I really wanted to share it and be honest and authentic and real with you about it. So yeah, so I'm tired of doing that in a way that is private, or unless to doing private videos or private live streams, which I used to do, make videos that were pretend videos that were not meant to be public, even though they could have been, but I did not make them public. But now I am becoming more courageous. I'm becoming more assertive, more willing to just be honest and just share parts of my life, aspects of myself that I feel comfortable and willing to share. Because that's the other thing, is I don't want to be uncomfortable. And when I feel uncomfortable and when I have to absolutely force myself to share it, then I'm just not going to. Now, the reasoning for this live stream is, I made the decision to switch to also doing or including weekly horoscopes. And the benefit of doing weekly horoscopes on my channel is so that I could include so many different astrological topics that I want to talk about in one video. And what I'm doing is I'm making the weekly horoscopes. I'll do those every week. And then I'm going to break down the individual topics or transits or aspects or full moons, new moons that I talk about in separate videos. So if you want to see the clips or parts from that weekly horoscope separately, then you can do so, because I'm going to be breaking down those separate parts. If you just want to find out about the, full moon here, then you can watch just a video on that. But if you want to view it from a weekly, horoscope perspective, and you want to see the whole thing, then you can watch the weekly horoscope, the whole video. And I may not always do that. I might deviate or stop from doing that, or sort of steer away from it, or choose not to do it at certain times. Who knows? But we'll see how it goes, and I'll be posting those not only on YouTube but also on Instagram and Facebook. Because recently, what I've done is when I make a video, if it is not, I I also post it on Facebook, my Facebook page. I also post it on Instagram. Um, so that's what I've been doing, so that the video is accessible in those locations. So if anyone follows me on those specific sites, on those platforms, and they can view the videos there rather than having to go to my YouTube channel to view those videos. They're right there because I provide them there. So that's something that I've been doing, but I'm probably not going to be doing another serious astrology video or live stream like this. I can't guarantee that. I may come on and do a video or live stream for the specific astrological topics that I want to talk about per week. So I'm going to do the weekly horoscope. It's going to be that one video, and then I'm going to break down the different events that I speak about in that weekly horoscope into separate videos. But then I'm also going to do a separate video on a specific astrological topic, transit, full moon, new moon, eclipse, that I want to talk about and share more in depth, and put a special focus and approach to that, because of what I want to do for that thing. So I'm going to provide that, and then I'm also going to speak about these astrological events that I make, that I talk about in the specific videos about them. I'm going to include those topics in the weekly horoscope. Probably less in depth than I would do in the video, the official video on it, but I will include that information in the weekly horoscopes. And then, of course, break down that aspect, transit, lunation, that I talk about into a separate video as well. So, I hope that you can sort of see where I am going with this, because there's so many astrological topics to talk about, and I want to present it in a way that is okay. It's routine. I do this video a week. I do these videos a week, and then I will that I can talk about as much as I want to talk about with what is going on in the astrological sky. So, yeah, that is my reasoning behind doing that. And I may actually come on for more of these live streams, because there's something about live streams that's informal. It's, I don't know. I just like doing things this way. So I may do weekly horoscopes, live streams where I may talk about the astrology for the week live, where I may talk about the specific forecast live. So if a planet changes a sign like Venus in retrograde in Leo, or the new moon in Gemini, or the lunar nodes changing into Aries and Libra, those are all specific forecasts that I feel really deserve their own special video, because they're just more significant in my mind. So I may talk about them through a video or a live stream. Maybe the general videos that I do per week. And the general videos that I provide weekly are astrology based. They are, based around general astrology. So a planet in the sign in the natal chart, or what does the midheaven mean in astrology? What do the elements mean in astrology? Or what does this aspect mean in a person's natal chart? So those are general topics. There are also spirituality topics like setting boundaries, self-love, which I may make videos on sometime. The power of forgiveness. Those may be potential videos that I may be making. Letting go is another one. All those topics that I listed may be videos that I may make, in the future. So astrology, spirituality, whatever floats my boat, whatever I feel inspired to share, want to share, and make a video about. And so, I'm not a professional astrologer, as you can tell, but I am very knowledgeable about astrology, and I do my research to give you information combined with my own knowledge, wisdom, insights, things that come to my mind that I want to share. So I'm going to admit that, and be honest about that. So yeah, I don't do monthly horoscopes or individual sign horoscopes or anything like that. But anyway. So I'm eating a snack while I'm doing this. Now, getting into what I wanted to talk to you about today. So, right now we have several things going on, astrologically going on with the middle of June. The new moon in Gemini is tonight, Central Time. Let me just look up, as I have it written down. I'll look up when that new moon is happening. If I can find it here. So the new moon in Gemini, which I made a separate video about, and I also spoke about in the weekly horoscopes, you can find out about that. That occurs at 11:38 p.m. Central Time and 12:38 a.m. June. I don't list the times of when the new moon occurs in the weekly horoscopes, by the way. So anyway, the new moon occurs at 11:38 p.m. Central Time on June 17th. And then, based on your time zone, it happens at 12:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 18th. So it's all relative to where you live. It happens at 26 degrees and 44 minutes of Gemini. And when I get into the weekly horoscope for the last week of June, I will talk about what Neptune retrograde is all about. Because Neptune's going to go retrograde. I believe Neptune goes retrograde. My hands are so dry. That's an issue that I'm dealing with, is dry hands. Next month. Those kind of things right now. So I'm doing my due diligence and applying as much lotion to my hands as I can and need. That would be healthy for my hands. So lotion on my hands so that they're not dry. So anyway, person here. Just find out here. I do not use an ephemeris, even though I probably should use an ephemeris or start to read one. That is something that I ought to do, and I'll be honest about that. I use just a nature calculator to find out when things are happening by putting in certain data. I put it's assigned and there's assigned stations retrograde or direct or when it's exact what day it is, what day the new moon occurs. I don't know the day that the new moon or full moon occurs. So yeah, so Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces. Go here. Go to the end of the day here to find this information out. So on June, I'll just do a little without talking about it. I'm just going to briefly mention it. That Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces right now, and it will go retrograde on, if I can find the date here. By the way, Father's Day is on June 18th, on Sunday. Neptune goes retrograde in Pisces at 27 degrees on June 30th. So, Father's Day happening on June 18th. So, it's time to look at your relationship with your dad and how you feel about your father. And spending time with them, giving a gift to show how much you love and appreciate them. Doing things that they want to do, really spending time with them. And so it's a funny story, actually, because I thought that Father's Day was last Sunday, June 11th, which, of course, if you've been following, that's when Pluto went back into Capricorn. It re-entered Capricorn. It's going to stay there until October 10th, or until January of 2024, and then Mercury entered Gemini on that day. So I thought that Father's Day was last Sunday, so I ended up getting a gift for my dad last Sunday, thinking that it was Father's Day, but it wasn't, and I turned out to be wrong. And I was like, okay, there has to be something wrong here, because usually it's the end of June, or usually it's like around the third week into June, around the 17th, 18th, 19th, or 16th, that weekend, when Father's Day is, the last Sunday of Gemini season. The last Sunday when the sun is transiting through the sign of Gemini is usually when Father's Day is. So I thought that it was June 11th, and I was like, what? This can't be right. This is way too early. Turns out it was the wrong date, so I ended up getting a gift for my dad and giving it to him on June 11th, when tomorrow, June 18th, is Father's Day. So, that's so funny. We had a meal. We grilled steak and potatoes, had a nice dip last night to celebrate Father's Day 2.0, if you want to call it that. But anyway, that was the Father's Day. But anyway, so Father's Day, I just want to talk about this because it happens when the new moon in Gemini occurs. And I think that we need to just accept our dads as they are and not try to force our values and beliefs and try to change them. And I can relate to this. I'm going to be honest, and I want to look at Gemini, looks at the light and the dark, the duality of all things, the good and the bad. My relationship with my dad has always been a relationship where We've been very connected, obviously. We've done a lot of things together. He's taught me a lot of things along the way. But we have not felt, I am not as close with my dad as I am my mom. I definitely have a stronger, more emotionally connected and understanding relationship, a deeper relationship with my mom than I do my dad. So I view that relationship that we have as connected but also separate at the same time. Um, and I wish looking back that I felt more emotionally connected, that I spent more time getting to know my dad over the years. And that's the honest truth. Nothing against anybody. But um, and the moon's going to be in Gemini um, on Father's Day, and my dad is an Aquarius moon. And one of the things about the moon in Aquarius is it's very nurturing, emotional. It's about caregiving. It is about deeply bonding. Um, really feeling, being very vulnerable, stepping into the emotional body. Really, that's what the moon is. And in Aquarius, it's super detached. So, looks at serving larger groups of people as opposed to intimate one-on-one relationships, because that whole togetherness, Aquarius wants to be free and it doesn't want to get too close in terms of bonds. It doesn't want to be boxed in. It doesn't want to do that whole emotional connection thing. It just wants to, that's all relative to if you have an Aquarius sun or Aquarius moon, but you may have a lot of water in your chart. That may be different, or a lot of Taurus in your natal chart. That may be different. It's all relative to your natal birth chart. But, Aquarius is a super intellectual, detached sign that, is sort of cut off. And that's sort of my feelings of just my dad, since it is Father's Day, and not the most sort of emotionally open, person, necessarily speaking. And I want to be neutral about that. Um, and so there's just a distant quality to Aquarius. Definitely not, controlling or imposing or anything like that. Quite the opposite. So, anyway, I thought that I would just acknowledge that it is Father's Day, so that is going on. By the way, if you have anything to say or contribute to this live stream, then feel free to put it in the chat or comment down below if you're watching this after it is over. It doesn't matter if you're watching this while it's live or while it's going. Either way, it's fine. So yeah. Now, delving into the information that I want to tell you about today. All right, so we have a couple of things going on. We have the new moon in Gemini. But then we have Mercury forming a square with Saturn. Mercury square Saturn. Okay, so that when was that exact? That was exact, and I don't want that. I don't want that. Okay, this is not telling me when it was exact. Well, it's an energy that is going on right now. This is live. This is, I mean, when you're going live, you have to lose perfectionism. You have to lose, oh, if it's not perfect. That's the beauty of live stuff. And I do not want to fall into being perfectionism. And I really genuinely don't want to delete anything again in my life, because I've deleted thousands of videos. I don't want to delete anything again. Deleting is basically denying that you did the thing, that you filmed the thing. I'd rather it be perfectly imperfect and you leave it there after all the energy, time, hard work that you put into filming the video, then delete it at this point. So let me see here. So that aspect, part of this live stream is going to be talking about, and I'm going to go over that aspect first. And there's also Jupiter sextile Saturn on June 19th. I talk about that in the weekly horoscope. I also have a separate video that I did about that, Jupiter sextile Saturn, but I go more in depth into it in the weekly horoscope for the week of June 18th. That video premiered on my channel today, so you can go check it out. Maybe after we're done with this live stream, or who knows. But that video is up for you to watch. But that aspect between Mercury and, it's definitely important to not include every single aspect and astrological thing that's going on when it comes to the weekly horoscopes. You have to break it down and prioritize what's most significant, what's most important. So, the sun or moon making outer conjunctions to outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Mercury, Venus, Mars making conjunctions to outer planets, new moons, full moons, when planets enter or leave a sign, when planets station or, go direct to retrograde or into the shadow zone, for when they go retrograde, for when they're entering a territory, that planet will enter that territory, and then it'll stop, it'll backtrack over that same territory, it'll review, it'll re-walk, go over that ground again when it goes retrograde. So that's also something that I cover, but it all depends. But I don't want to overwhelm you or give you so much information that is like, oh my goodness, so many prescriptions, so much information, too much going on. I do not want to dazzle you and overwhelm you with so much information and exhaust all that, the finite information that there is about this stuff, and, just go through so much info. So, yeah. So I don't want to do that. I want it to be comprehensive, in depth, but not, but just enough and a reasonable amount of information. That's something that I am very aware of and that I want to give to you. So, it's so interesting because I'm not finding it here. Maybe it was an aspect that passed. I'm just trying to find out now when it happened. Should have figured this out before I got on live, but this is what has to happen, and it's okay. So anyway, so all right, so it's not happening there. That's probably happening on the 18th. Let's find out. So Mercury is not really giving me, not telling me. I mean, it's so important to know when this is happening. It's not just a random aspect that I'm talking about, so that's why I'm spending the time to try to figure out when this aspect happens. Because it's not showing up. Oh my goodness. It's not showing up. Why is it not showing up here? That's very odd. Surely it would show up, otherwise I'm just going to have to skip that piece of information entirely, which I do not want to do, because I was planning to talk to you about that today. Okay, so that is unfortunate. Oh my gosh darn it. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out when this is happening. And I had the wrong year. I've set it for 2000, not 2023. That's why I'm not finding the aspect. That is so funny. Those little details that you miss. So, yeah. Okay, well, say the V, as they say. I also, I made a video, by the way, on Pluto and Aquarius. You can go find my Pluto and Aquarius video that I made. It's on my channel. And what ended up happening was I had the dates for the video, for the Pluto and Aquarius video. I had the dates that I researched and I pinned down and found out this was entering this date. But instead, because Pluto entered Aquarius on March 23rd, but the natal chart calculator that I was using said that it would enter or showed that Pluto would enter Aquarius on March 15th, which was wrong. And then all the dates for when Pluto would leave Capricorn, enter Aquarius, go back into Capricorn, all those dates were wrong. So I had to make a separate video where I provided the correct dates and paste that or copy that or edit that into the video, insert that into the video. So that was fun, and I don't want to have to do that again. It's so important that I give the dates because that's a huge part of it. So this now should show up. So Mercury square Saturn was exact. I believe that it was on June. If it's showing up here, June 15th, 2023. So let me find it here. Just make sure of something right here. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that was exact on June 15th. So, June 15th was the day that this was exact, but this energy is still going on. So, that's why I am talking about that. So, Mercury square Saturn. Yeah, but that's still energy. That energy is still going on, so I can talk about it. So, anyway, let's talk about this aspect. So, Mercury in astrology relates to, it's the messenger. It relates to communication. It is very intellectual in nature. It's very fast. Mercury spends about 21 or less days in a sign, so it's really fast. It zips through a sign super quick. It's very busy. It's very chatty. It's sort of wired, if you will. There's an intellectual and logical quality. It wants to analyze things. It's how you think, communicate, and also how you process information. And Mercury Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and Uranus rules Aquarius. That says that Mercury is the lower mind, the day-to-day thoughts that we have on a day-to-day basis, conversations, interactions that we have on a day-to-day basis as we're living our lives, family and friends we're talking to, our work, or whatever. But then Uranus is a higher mind, advanced thought, radical thought. It deals with brand new ideas, revelations, all those kinds of things. So, and Mercury is also very detached in nature. So it's not, wants to look at things objectively. It wants to look at things just, as they are from a very mental perspective. So Mercury is in Gemini now, and Mercury is going to be in Gemini until June 26th. And so Mercury in Gemini, Mercury rules Gemini, has an affinity, if I'm using that word correctly, in this particular sign because it's domicile, it's at home in this sign, so it's very chatty. Mercury in Gemini is very curious. It wants to learn new things. It wants to take in new information, just absorbing new information, and just a desire to learn. It needs to constantly be fed and learn new information. So it's very social. We're communicating more. It's easier to talk and have conversations and respond. Having our recall. When we're trying to recall something, our memory is sharper. Our wit and humor system can be sharper. We can respond in more intelligent, more detailed, more mental, sharp ways when Mercury is in Gemini. So it's really buzzy. And dealing with Saturn, I think it's so important to break these down. Saturn is rules. It is a restrictive energy. It's a father energy. It's very patriarchal, where there is a system of, think of authority figures, that they want you to be the best version that they want what's best for you. They want you to strive for excellence, to strive for being the best version of yourself that you can be. And they want you to achieve success and learn and mature and really gain a lot of traction in this lifetime. But it can also be very restrictive, where you can't overindulge in this negative pattern. You can't have too much of this. It's about being very disciplined. Like this could be military soldiers, or it can just be discipline, where you're working toward a goal and you have this promise, this goal that you made, that you promised yourself, and you're sticking with it. You're sticking it out. That you're not giving up. That you just put in the hard work, because that's what Saturn demands in essence. And so I'm going to talk about Saturn and Pisces later here. But so I spoke about Saturn traits. It's it can make you more rational, more real. It just tells you to just accept the reality and do what you can to manifest something, get something done with what there is in the present for you to work with. It doesn't want to make stuff of it, doesn't want to escape or pretend that things are happy, joyous, and free, or a different way than they are now. It demands that you get your head out of the clouds and basically get down to reality. That's what Saturn is about. And it's about taking action, making the choices that we need to make in the present moment. So that is Saturn energy. And moving on to this aspect here of Mercury square Saturn, this is great for anything having to do with details. Anything involving details, spreadsheets, an article that you have to write, cleaning up your house, editing an essay or a novel, or with any sort of big business project that you have to do for a company, or just any mental or emotional details in your life. How is your mental health? How is your, emotional state of being? And what do you need to declutter your mind? Do you need to reorganize and reevaluate your life? So it's looking at the details of your life, basically. So feng shui, those kind of practices where you arrange the sort of parts of your home, and you change things up so that it can put you at a better state of being that is better for you emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So that's what feng shui is, and it's all energy based off of rooms of your house, etc. So anyway, so looking at your habit patterns of the things that you do, looking at procrastination, overindulgence, and such things. So just details, mental details, mental health, emotional details. Maybe it's reacting to something without thinking it through logically. Maybe it's just jumping on a decision before thinking about it and flipping it over, considering it, mulling on it until you come to the final decision. Maybe this can be it can be jumping into things too quickly without planning carefully enough, because you need all the tools in your balloon. Basically, when you're launching a balloon, you have to get stuff set up, fill it up with enough fuel, that whole process. There's little details you have to take care of in order for that balloon to fly high in the sky successfully. So it does deal with attending to those details. And it's a square, so it creates that need for you to get serious and to do the hard work to grow from the difficult aspect that a square is, because squares are very tension. They're very tense. They're very challenging aspects. So maybe are you not doing what need? Are you not getting to bed early enough, or not brushing your teeth well enough, not eating healthy enough, not exercising or walking and getting out in nature as much as you should? All these things you may look at and be able to see really clearly and very closely and very well during this time. So that's part of this. Great for hard work, really putting your nose to the grindstone, putting the work in, and having a goal and then achieving it. And mental, putting your, that you can do anything if you put your mind to work, focusing your mind and really getting something done. Because this is a square, another downside is pessimism, falling into negative thoughts and not seeing more of the positive sides of things. So that can also be something with this too. So pessimism, becoming very negative, becoming very, just a realist, but we want to be an optimistic realist. We want to see the potentials. We want to see the opportunity. We want to see how we can improve this or make it better. We want to see what there is to be thankful of in the present moment, despite the situation that we have now, and seeing the silver lining to those very negative things. So, yeah. So it again goes back to this whole conversation about looking at both sides, the light and the dark, seeing both. So, pessimism, becoming very negative. Saturn is, can be very restrictive, limiting, not optimistic, where, you don't feel that expansive, enthusiastic joy and hope to, move on, to stretch for something, to reach for something, to take life by the horns, to, achieve something new, or, to have a better life. And, where it's a, harsh reality kind of thing, hard knocks reality, and seeing only, and being so caught up in the negative. And Mercury can really laser focus, and we're very intellectually attuned to that. So yeah, that's another downside. And Saturn also corresponds to authority figures. So, looking to those authority figures, if our authority figures limit us or take, control away from us. Looking at a relationship to authority figures, both externally and internally. That authority figures have done the hard work. They have the information, the proof that, they've gone through that. They have, this wisdom and all that, but their, authority, Capricorn rules, governments, corporations, all those things can be very limiting and binding, and it can hinder you. Maybe it's an opportunity to break free from that, to detach from that, to decide, okay, well, this is what my inner authority is saying, and I want to do this, and etc. Authority figures here, becoming more attuned to the limiting influence, potential conflicts with authority figures or experts. But when I was, something that I read about this placement is actually turning to them for advice or a solution, or for to get something done, to initiate something, to sign off on a deal, or to move something in a better direction in your life. So it's part of it. Although this is not a relational aspect, there's Saturn is very cold. It's very separate. So there's a detached quality here, where that emotional connection, that tender, loving, heartfelt, nurturing connection, maybe, could you feel that there may be people in your life that are not being as supportive of you as you want them to be? Could it be that you wish you were closer to them, and you wish that they understood you and you understood them, they really got you? So separation, because Earth is boundaries, blocks. We come in separate, we leave separate. So really fending for yourself, doing your things that you need to do, putting the work in your own life, for yourself, being very self-sufficient, is very Earth. It's very related to that Earth element. So, but where can we come together and understand from a realistic, objective, rational, and true point of view, if you feel any separation, you're separate from people in your life, or you feel like they're separate from you, we don't want that. And I'm sure that you don't want that if you're watching this. So addressing that and then being very objective and practical about speaking up. I'm feeling this way. This is what's going on in the relationship, and these are the issues. This is what is going on. What is the reality of my situation, and what can we change and fix and make anew, rearrange, improve. So yeah, because squares really provoke change, where things cannot remain the same after the square is over, when the square aspect wanes. Because it waxes, it gets exact, and then it wanes. Just like the new moon waxes and it gets to the full moon, and then it wanes and gets back to the new moon again. So that whole cycle. So I forgot what I was just saying there, but I am just going to move on. I'm going to move on to what is happening today. What is happening today is Saturn stationing retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And Saturn is going to be in Pisces from June 17th. Saturn's going to be retrograde in Pisces from June 17th through November 4th of 2023. Now, what degree will Saturn be at when it stations direct? I'm not exactly sure about that, so I'm going to look that up. So it should retrograde pretty much to the beginning of the sign, if I am getting that correct. Let me just look this up here. Let's go to my thing. Okay, so Saturn is going to be at 0 degrees 31 minutes of Pisces, or at 0 degrees of Pisces, and it is going retrograde on June 17th at 7 degrees of Pisces. So it's going retrograde. So when planets go retrograde, we're reviewing, we're reevaluating, we're revisiting area that the planet covered when it moved forward. So this can be and when a planet goes retrograde, it's sort of where we're correcting our direction. Where it's not necessarily a moving forward time as it is a reviewing time and going back over previous experiences, growth, lessons, whatever is connected to the energy and the qualities of that planet. So it is that is basically retrograding is. So this can be a time where we are not working so hard, where we're reflecting on the progress that we made in our lives, and the progress and the things that we've done in our past, what we've accomplished in the past, how much have we accomplished, have we done the work that we need to, that could be part of it, and have you put the work in and become very disciplined in the past, or have you not done that? And it takes seeing things as they are and having the awareness to see things as they are to make those changes if need be in relation to that. So I'm going to talk about what that means specifically for this retrograde coming up here. But Saturn is again order and structure, wants to put a form to something, wants to put a structure to something, organize our life and make it very systematic. How healthy are our boundaries? how have we been disciplined in the past to put the work in, as I said. Yeah. And especially long-term goals. What have we done for the long term, or what haven't we done for the long term? So, yeah. And it's really looking again to that inner authority to say, okay, well, maybe I haven't put the work in as much as I should have here, and maybe I'm going to put more work in over here, or improve, or become more serious and focused at this area of my life that I should be more serious about committing to and getting results from. So that's part of it. And especially, for our long term, Saturn is all about what is long lasting. That's a huge part of it. So listening to, our inner authority. And again, so, questioning what is going on in our lives, why there's certain traditions, why there's certain histories that have happened in the past, why things are what they are, what could we do as individuals to change those things and better those things, or accept what we cannot change, and find serenity in that, the serenity prayer, that whole thing. So what are we not facing? What are we not accepting? What are we not allowing ourselves to feel, live with? So yeah, that could be that. And just learning, reviewing those hard lessons that we've learned in relation to, again, those Saturn ruled matters. That song from Annie that comes to mind, It's a Hard Knocks Life. And again, hard work, goals, your responsibilities, where you not stepped up to the plate, done your bit in a relationship with a goal, where have you not put the work in and been responsible? Another part of this is looking at what worked for you in the past, what hasn't worked for you in the past, what strategies and ways of doing things has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you, what must be released. Is it a health practice that you've done? Is it, it could be any number of things. So that's another little piece of this. So picking back up what you originally started. So if you started something, gave up on it, not been committed, it's a good time to review it and pick it back up and, start it over again, and put in that work. And so again, it deals with change in relation to work, discipline, career, all those kind of things. So, where it's more reflective, it's more you're meditating on these issues. So specifically for this Saturn and Pisces, the issues that we've been dealing with for a long time since Saturn entered Pisces, and I have a whole nother video about this, is Pisces is a sign that relates to empathy, compassion, your dreams, oneness, emotional connection, trusting the universe. So those are all Pisces traits. Now, one of the things is people who claim that they know all, that they have all this information, that they're experts, that you should listen to them. It's known as a God complex. Not relying on a hero or someone externally for validation or for to be your saving grace or to pick up the pieces or to put the work in, get it done, manifest your dreams for you. It's about putting the responsibility onto you, putting the focus back on you. What can you do? How can you take action? How can you improve your circumstances? What can you do to help yourself? That's what it comes down to. So this could be spiritual leaders or spiritual healers, and Pluto is going to move into Pisces in many, many years. And when it does, it's going to unearth and dig up and reveal and transform people who have God complexes or, certain spiritual gurus or healers that impose or that don't allow people to follow their own inner teacher, because the best teacher enables, empowers you, and inspires you to follow your own inner teacher. So who are the spiritual leaders who have not done that, who have not put the ego aside, or who have not sort of gave you information, gave you suggestions, gave you help, healing, advice, wisdom, but it's up to you to apply it to your own life and really do what is best for you, what's right for you, to take action in your own life, trust your own intuition, and do all the things. So that's part of this. And Saturn is restriction. It wants to, restrict. So this on the mundane or world astrology level, this could be putting a restriction to certain escapist tendencies like drugs and alcohol, or it could be, I don't know, certain means of escaping reality that are unhealthy. Another thing that, just reviewing the Saturn and Pisces transit is self-care. So self-care, what have we done for ourselves that is nourishing and nurturing for ourselves? And, more emotional healing where, we're being honest, we're being vulnerable, we're feeling our feelings, we're being willing to voice them, we're not shutting them down or hiding them, but we're integrating and we're finding a place of wholeness with whatever it is that we're feeling and going through emotionally. So, and spiritually also. So, it's so interesting because when I made my video, or when I was thinking about making my video on Saturn and Pisces, I was thinking about calling it the sickening of the veil, because Saturn restricts. Saturn, it's, where it puts a limitation. It makes it challenging to access this sign's energy or this area of life. It makes it challenging to tap into a certain thing. So I was thinking about difficulty with spirituality, difficulty with connecting to the divine, or, connecting with your intuition, etc. And for people who have Saturn in Pisces, you're either very spiritual, you've mastered spirituality, you have a whole system of your spiritual practices, you know how to trust your intuition, you know how to believe in yourself, you have mastered healthy boundaries, healthy compassion, empathy, you're very loving, you are very spiritual, or the opposite. This could lend itself to atheism, potentially, or it could be just shutting down. It could be spiritual narcolepsy. It could be not connected to the divine that much, not having a higher power or belief to connect to. So that's the downside in getting so wrapped up in the logical mind. Maybe one of the little tidbit. I think one of the tidbits probably about Neptune going retrograde is that Neptune, which rules Pisces, which is about seeing things objectively, realistically as they are, rather than getting caught in escapism. And it's harder to escape during that time, because when a planet goes retrograde, it's sort of going to sleep, if you will, and the energy is less strong, and the planet is not in its full power. And the qualities are not as apparent and, strong. So, getting caught in the logical mind, the mundane reality, So emotional healing. And another thing is drawing healthy boundaries, knowing boundaries emotionally, spiritually. So, dissolving any kind of illusions of not seeing things as they are, not seeing a person as they are. And getting caught in the fantasy, caught in, someone on social media presenting themselves as someone who they are not. And with the Saturn retrograde in Pisces, we may review when we did not trust our intuition, our inner knowing, our gut feeling of this is the right place to go, this is the right thing to do, this is the relationship I should start. Should I not press this button on Instagram if it's going to lead me to a difficult situation? Should I avoid this area of town because it may be unsafe? Whatever it is, it's that voice inside of you that is not based on logic. It's not based on what is intellectual, but it is an inner voice. So where have we not followed that? With the Saturn in Pisces, it also deals with dreams. So taking note of your dreams, that through dreams you can release whatever issues or confront whatever issues may be going on in your life, potentially. Probably taking note of your dreams and the spiritual or symbolic significance of those dreams. Maybe keep a dream journal. You can jot down what you dreamed about. So yeah. So moving on, another kind of downside is lack of hope, hopelessness, falling into feeling very lonely, feeling like no one can help you, feeling like you can't help yourself, feeling very depressed and isolated, feeling very blue, depressed, down, what I call pale. And that's when your senses are numbed and you can't taste, touch, see as clearly because you're so sucked into your mind and you feel so depressed that you are not connected to the reality, and not in a good, healthy, positive mental place. Basically. So, So getting out of yourself and getting out of that rut and So I was feeling very depressed during Christmas of 2020 and the middle of August of 2019. So that's how that showed up for me. Of course, Saturn was not in Pisces during those times, but yeah. So we can become victims to our circumstances where, we can't, where we feel like our power has been taken from us, where we feel lack of power, where we feel lack of confidence and belief in ourselves, and lack of hope, and also, potentially gratitude for our lives as it is. Just gratitude can certainly help. But anyway, feeling very lonely too. It's also maybe reviewing the dreams and visions that you wanted to turn into reality, but you haven't done the work to put it into a reality yet, or you haven't worked hard enough to make those dreams and visions a reality. The last little thing here is, this is what I'm going to say, and I have another video about this, is any kind of spiritual practice. I think something super positive with Saturn and Pisces is spiritual practices. Yoga, meditation, music, art, anything that calms you, brings you to a state of peace, brings you back into your body, grounds you, makes you more present. Or you're channeling, in a way, what you're doing when you're in that creative, free, open, receptive, flowing spiritual space. So that's when we all channel. So we all do it when we tap into that high frequency energy that is Pisces. So spiritual practices. But where have you not done the work to be very disciplined in your spiritual practice? And it might be a good idea to initiate a new spiritual practice and do what is self-care work on yourself and spiritual practices, and picking those back up and committing to those. Now, I recognize that this is a long live stream. I didn't intend for it to be that long. It just ended up being that way. I don't know. I just feel like I just had too much information there. Clearly, one of the things that I might work on is putting less information. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed. Bye for now, everybody.